Hi everybody, Catfish Jones here. Whoop. The sun is right in my face. But I'm gonna do a car talk today because, I tell you what, because I can. Had a bit of weather last night. Not quite snow, maybe could be called freezing rain or sleet or whatever variant they may call it. We woke up to a good little layer of ice and what appeared to be little pellets, little ice pellets all over the ground, frozen to everything. So it probably started as rain and slowly froze as it got colder throughout the night. And then all that sat on top of the vehicles throughout the night. So first thing in the morning, Mrs. Catfish and I went out to our respective cars and found a little bit of a delay in getting us out the door and onto work. And the way we handled that for the most part was we both turned our vehicles on and started the warming process. But I jumped out with my ice scraper and helped her scrape her car down. So she was able to get out the door a little bit quicker than I was. But by the time I made it back to my vehicle, old Super Grover, as I like to call it, by the time I got back to Super Grover, well, heck, it had warmed up enough that it about melted the underneath of the ice. A couple of scrapes with the ice scraper, and it was ready to go. Of course, the ride to work was very interesting because there was still a good layer of ice on everything. But like usual, the interstate, the highway that I take to work was much better cleared than the regular roads. All of the regular roads I went on were just a slick mess. But the get up on the interstate, man, you could get up to speed and not have to worry about it at all until you got on the off-ramp. The one thing you did get that I was not very happy about when I took the highway was a little bit of fine mist from the wheels and whatnot of the cars in front of you landing on the windshield. That fine mist, having been on the ground, is just chocked full of the salt residue or de-icer or whatever it is. And so now I've got all of this schmutz, as Mark Fun Jones says, all of this schmeg all over my window. And it's a little difficult driving into the sun to see through it. There's enough of a opacity for me to be able to see the road safely. But it could be better. So that's the weather. That's the weather in my neck of the woods. Pretty cold, a little bit of moisture, and the moisture's good. As it melts today, I'm reminded that all of this moisture is going into the ground. And in Kansas, we're a wheat state. And all of the wheat has been getting pretty dry. And as it comes out of its dormant phase in the winter, we start to get some nice weather, it starts wanting some moisture because it thinks that's the time it is. It thinks it's spring and it's ready to go. But the lack of moisture that we've seen over the season, combined with some warmish temperatures here or there, could be trouble come spring and summer when this wheat is fully matured. If it does fully mature, and if it does provide the bountiful harvest that we like to see. Not that I have any specific interests or anything like that. I'm not on the commodities market purchasing wheat in bulk, because that seems a little ludicrous to me. But in this area, it's just part of what one talks about with other locals. When I visit my grandparents for breakfast on Monday mornings, we do end up discussing a little bit about how the wheat's doing and whether we got any moisture and a 1/10 of an inch of precipitation over the week or whatever it may have been. I'm looking off in the distance now that I get up on the highway with a pretty clear line of sight. And there are some dark clouds perhaps coming this way, so maybe the moisture is not done. My luck, it will precipitate all night, and I'll wake up to a big old mess like I did this morning. Have to fight through it. Get on the highway and drive to work, and get sprayed with smeg, as Mark Funnel Cake Jones is wont to say. All in all, though, I can't really complain. It is still winter time, and what does one expect in winter but a little bit of cold weather and winter conditions? I hope everything is well in your neck of the woods, weather-wise. I hope Ruthie D isn't seeing too much rain, because I know how much it drives old Chewy crazy. Hope Mark Fun Jones is doing well with his weather, as I am given to understand he too is controlled by dogs. And dogs don't like the abnormal weather. They don't know that the wheat needs it, or soybeans, or Milo, or whatever it is you guys grow in your areas, in your neck of the woods. I'm sure that there are some farms in those areas that do some type of agriculture, whatever it may be. Most of that agriculture requires moisture, even in the winter, so it's kind of a balance. I'm not one that usually prays for rain, as it were, but there's no reason not to. It's always helpful to have the moisture, even if it puts you out a little bit. Yes, indeed. Got a semi in front of me, and I might be able to get around before my exit. Looks like I might have to put the hammer down a little bit, zip a little faster than I like to zip. Okay, I got around him. I'm back to a regular pace. And here is my exit. Click off the cruise control. It's very nice to be able to drive home from work with cruise control. It means the traffic isn't too insane. Yesterday I got off at my off-ramp, and there was a doozy of an accident. There were several police officers around, so it was recent enough to have just happened, but also not recent enough so we could get officers on the scene. It was a heck of a collision. It looks like somebody pulled out of the off-ramp area into traffic and didn't notice an oncoming car. Got himself a little T-boned. It didn't seem like there were any injuries. Both vehicles were fairly newish, so there was some air baggage. A couple of cars behind the T-bone car, the one that did the T-boning, were not able to stop before it T-boned, so they came in and smashed in behind a little bit. Ultimately, I just hope everybody was safe. I didn't see ambulances, I don't know the plural for ambulance, but I didn't see plural ambulance or even a single ambulance, so I just trust everybody's okay. And here I am pulling up into my driveway, ready to get this one done. I have some fun working on several projects that I didn't intend to work on. Somehow my busy brain ended up on some very interesting, I guess projects is the right word, and I'd like to see them finished. Maybe we'll get some stuff I can share with you from there. And if not, if I don't go into it too deep, I'm not on the hook for having to finish it right now. One of these projects was a project I started a year ago or so and got to kind of a roadblock, and instead of sussing out how to get around the roadblock, I just gave up. And we'll have to deal with it another time. This other time is now, and that's what I'm doing. So I guess there's no better time than right now to just wrap it up. As you can tell, I'm home next to the half brick and the siding, which is indication that Mrs. Catfish is not yet home, because that's where she parks. But yeah, let me wrap it up right here. I haven't done a car talk for maybe a week, and I wanted to pop in and say howdy. Make sure everybody was doing well. Make sure everybody's neck of the woods is as pleasant as the weather may allow. And until I see you next time, I just hope each of you are well to each other, are good to yourselves. And maybe next time, I'll think of an ending. Until then, we'll see you guys later. Cheers.